Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. In today's video, we are taking a look at Bitcoin's macro and short-term price action, as well as the total cryptocurrency market cap, as crypto and Bitcoin are in very delicate positions moving into what will be a massive month. Will Bitcoin see a continuation upwards, or will we see one more flash correction? This is a question we're answering in today's video. Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos of Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion. Pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you were interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop for cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. And if you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, join us over in VIP. We post trading setups with exact entry prices, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. So massive profits printed in this channel in the last 24 hours alone. You'll also get access to our group chats, our general chat, our trading chat, education chat, our news, daily video help, and trade setup chat. The VIP channel has been around now for over 3 years. We're coming on our 41st month. You can find our entire trading track record via the pinned comment in the free channel by clicking this link, or a video showing you exactly what you'll get access to. Go ahead and check it out. We'll see you in there, and let's jump into the video. So taking a look at Bitcoin's price action over the past 24 hours, we did see some massive chop toward the downside. Bitcoin, however, is still within this descending channel formation we identified in our past video. In fact, we are now retesting the lower side of this descending channel, as well as forming what would be considered some bullish absorption. Big question is, are we going to see a continuation upwards and through this downtrending resistance, or will we see one more flash correction into what is going to be the range low of this macro descending channel formation? We'll also be discussing in today's video the significance of the exact point of which we are retesting, which is that 56,200 level, and why Bitcoin and again the total market cap are on a knife's edge. So we'll go ahead and jump into all of that. Let's start with that market data. 24-hour volume is down 17% at 114 billion. 24-hour liquidations down 49% at 92 million. Of the last 24 hours in liquidations, long positions have attributed to 72 million in liquidations, with shorts attributing 19 million. Moving over to the markets, looking at the DXY, we can see over here the DXY is very much looking bearish. Yet again, we have broken downward, from what was a 1.5 year long symmetrical triangle formation. The measured move of a symmetrical triangle is simply the point 1 to point 2, so the first low to first high. We drag that to the breakdown point, and that gives us an expected target, as we can see, which is going to be around 95 and potentially even a little bit lower, around about this region. So again, if we do see this measured move play out, the DXY doesn't have a very nice couple of months coming up. We are going to see some massive downward moves for the DXY in the next few months, provided this measured move plays out. For us to see that next leg downwards, we need to lose this low, this base of support we have established since January 2023. This point at 100. Again, for the DXY to lose this, we will need to see some interest rate data reduction. So we need to see those drop in interest rates. That will inherently weaken the dollar and push asset prices up against the DXY, resulting in, again, the dollar dropping. So we're watching for that. Looking at those economic releases, we do have some major economic releases coming up. Of course, we did have our NFP data coming in tonight at 10:30. This is going to be a major event in 12 hours away. This can massively influence the short-term expectations for the risk asset markets, and historically has had a degree of volatility over Bitcoin. So watching out for that, particularly when we're moving into that event. Keep your risk management quite tight. On the 11th of September, we do have inflation data. Again, watching out for that one. PPI data on the 12th, and the big one is going to be our interest rate decision on the 19th of September at 4 a.m. Australia GMT plus 10 time. We can watch that one unfold, and again, the impact this result is going to have will be likely huge. This has been a widely anticipated event for a very long time. This is the first time we are moving into an interest rate decision where we don't have any probability of anything but a reduction, meaning we are very likely to see an interest rate reduction moving into this decision, and we know that interest rate reductions have massively macro bullish outlooks for the risk asset market. So we go to our flow chart before we jump into Bitcoin. Moving to our flow chart over here, we can see on the flow chart that the macro impact of falling interest rates over here, interest rates falling, result in greater retail spending on risk assets and greater accumulation by companies via cheap debt for income producing assets, which result in a rising valuation for risk assets and a decreasing valuation for the dollar. Again, all of this is inherently bullish, but it does take many months and many interest rate reductions for this to have a bullish effect. The initial impact of a reduction in interest rates is a representation of a weakening economy as there is less spending, and that can actually be perceived as initially bearish, particularly with historical interest rate reductions having some coincidence, or should I say correlation, with market correction. So again, if everyone is expecting a correction, we might see an initial correction following the interest rate reduction, and then we do know the macro outlook is still going to be bullish. So that's very important. Let's go ahead, guys, and jump into Bitcoin. A quick word from today's video sponsor. If you're interested in supporting the channel even more, 15 to 45% off your trading fees for life. You can sign up to our links down below, BitGet, BitUnix, or BingX. Again, we'll play an ad and we'll jump back into it. We'll see you in a second. I'd like to introduce our partner, BitUnix. BitUnix is a global, non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get stuck back into it. So starting on that short-term price action today, we can see Bitcoin is currently retesting that low point at 56,000. Now you do know, as we've been saying, 56,000 was our sell side liquidity, a pretty key level for Bitcoin in terms of our short-term supports. We need to see the price action sustain above this level to really see a bounce. If we do drop below 56,000, we run the risk of a further correction into this lower region of support, which occupies a distance between 54,000 and even this lower trend line of descending channel at around 53,000. So we know that 56,000 is going to be this lowermost region of horizontal support on the short term. So taking a look at the price action, as we can see, we have formed what we would call a descending channel formation. We have validated the descending channel formation highs and lows using the RSI trend line. Again, our pivot points match the pivot points on the RSI over here. If we take a look at this descending channel formation, we have actually validated at least two touches on the top side and at least 3 touches on the bottom side. That is confirming my 5-point validation rule when I do look for trends, specifically structures. So we do have that. So we can say, according to the way we validate these structures, this would be a valid descending channel formation. Now we know descending channel formations are inherently reversal structures. So we do have a greater degree of probability for a directional continuation upward from here than we do for a directional continuation downwards. Now I do say greater degree of probability because everything in trading comes back to probability, not certainty. If we want to be confident and to a high degree of confidence for Bitcoin to continue upwards, we still need to break through the levels we were discussing in yesterday's video, which happened to be the downtrending diagonal resistance of the descending channel. This is a representation of the downtrend Bitcoin has been in ever since the 28th of August, as well as that red line, which is the 50 EMA, as you can see, it is hugging that upper trend line. These are the two critical levels Bitcoin will need to break above to then see a continuation higher. Taking a measured move from the entrance to point 1, applying that to the breakout point, let's assume the breakout point is here, you can see that would take us generally relatively close to that horizontal resistance point before we saw that extension up to the dotted trend line of the broader channel at around 61,000, 60,000. So again, on the short term, Bitcoin is now at an area of support. We have tested sell side liquidity. We have seen deviation under sell side liquidity. We are now seeing bullish absorption. We are in a bullish structure, which is a descending channel formation. We are looking for continuations up on the short term, but we are cautious about those corrections. So be cautious and be aware of the risk of a correction and what that will entail, okay? But be optimistic on the short term for a continuation upwards within this channel. And if we do see a breakout of that channel, that is going to be the validation we are looking for us to flip short-term bullish and for us to then expect that continuation upwards. Until then, Bitcoin is in a chop zone. And again, this is a downtrending chop zone. If we had to turn this onto a horizontal scale, it would literally just be something like this, a sideways chop zone. So we do have a lot of price volatility and fluctuations while we remain within the downtrending descending channel. This goes to say the exact same pattern we are seeing here on the macro, we are seeing on the short term. Expect volatility, expect chop, expect swings to highs and lows until we actually break out of the range high or break down from the range low. We don't have confirmation for directional continuations. What are we looking for? We are looking for a 4-hour candle close above or below to validate the breakout. The reason we are looking for a 4-hour is because during the entire period since the 28th, we have not seen a 4-hour close below or above this channel, and therefore a 4-hour close above would be a data point which is an outlier in comparison to what we have seen in the past during this channel, and therefore we could say with a degree of confidence that if we were to sustain above the trend line or below the trend line for a 4-hour close, that would give an indication that the buyers or sellers at the time are confident in continuing that trend. So that is what we are looking for over here, guys, for the bullish case scenario. If we zoom out ever so slightly, we can extend this support range a little lower. There's a massive liquidation range from about 54,000 downwards. We can see that we do have the risk of seeing that continuation into that lower range. Now, for that to occur, we would need to break back below these sell side liquidity levels. We are watching our current one, which is going to be at around 55,600. A loss of 55,600 would be a strong indication, provided we close a 4-hour candle below, that this descending channel has invalidated. And if we invalidate that channel, we are looking for a drop back into that range. Now, there's a reason why I would be cautious about that, and that comes back to our macro charts. So we move to our macro charts in a second. We'll explain why this area, although it is a short-term support, actually has some macro significance at specifically 65,200, which is around about that level we are currently retesting. Now let's zoom out even more, guys. If we do want to see Bitcoin to push back upwards into this upper region of 64,000, we of course need to break out of that channel. We need to break through that resistance. So essentially what we're looking at now, we're playing level by level. Don't look too big a picture. Watch the short term, watch the key levels, and play it level by level. So let's zoom out to the daily chart. We did talk about just then the significance of a particular price point at 56,200. This level is not too significant in terms of a horizontal scale, but when we're looking at our macro charts from a technical perspective, it has a whole heap more significance, particularly on the 3-day chart. I went to the 4-day. Let's go to the 3-day chart. We can see that on the 3-day chart, the level of significance we are discussing is going to be the point of which the price action meets. We can see it ranges between 56,400 and 56,100. This is going to be this particular area right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put a box around it. This is the lower band of the Gaussian channel and the lower band of the Ichimoku cloud, the lower part of the cloud, the lower Kumo of the Ichimoku cloud. This is going to be a critical level of technical significance on the 3-day chart, and like we said, it lines up with the horizontal support on the short term. So we have a degree of macro confluence in terms of our technical levels at this point, which decrease the probability of a directional continuation downwards, but also increase the significance of if we were to see that directional continuation. We know that on a 3-day chart, and to move over to this chart really quickly to show you, a 3-day chart is going to be closing in 3 days. Okay, we just literally closed that 3-day candle. We can see the 3-day candle literally closed at 56,188, which was sitting directly above that Ichimoku cloud low, right? We actually closed literally right on top of it. What we can see that historically is when we close our 3-day candles underneath that level, if we look, that would be an indication that the trend direction on the macro is starting to shift bearish. From a technical perspective, we are in a macro uptrend, provided the price action is sitting within or above the Gaussian channel prior to breaking the upper band. Okay, so from this point onwards, provided we sit within, okay, this point onwards, provided we sit within the channel or above the channel, we are in an uptrend. Again, the further away we are from the channel is a representation of volatility and strength of trend, okay? And likewise with the Ichimoku cloud, provided we sit above the lower band of the cloud, the general direction of the price action is as well in a uptrend. So from a technical perspective, Bitcoin is still in a macro uptrend, and that level lines up perfectly with that low point we just discussed. So if we were to see a short-term breakdown for Bitcoin, this short-term breakdown would have to be quite a fast move, as we only have a 3-day window for that move to execute if we want to sustain above those technical levels of significance. Now, this brings us back to our structural formation. We know that we are in a descending channel formation, and therefore the macro expectation is that we will see a bullish continuation. Now, this descending channel formation is not only present on Bitcoin, it is also present on our total market cap. This is the total cryptocurrency market cap, a representation of the entirety, all the money in cryptocurrency right over here. This is going to be a strong indication of the general strength of the entire crypto market, not just Bitcoin. We can see a very similar pattern, if not an identical pattern, dare I say, to what we are seeing on the Bitcoin chart. Particularly what we can see here is that we are actually retesting an area of horizontal support. So for us to see that flash correction on Bitcoin, we would also be dropping below what is a support level that has spanned since the 15th of February. This is a 200-day long support line. A 200-day long support line would break down if we were to see that continuation down for Bitcoin, if we were to see that continuation down from these significant levels on the macro technical levels. So we're watching out for that very, very closely. So as we can see, while we sustain this channel, the expectation is that we'll see a directional continuation upwards. Again, just as we had the validations for our short-term channel, the same principles apply to the macro channel. We are still watching for a daily candle close of the trend line to validate that move upwards. It can be an expectation, but you don't have to act on expectations until the validation has been triggered. If you think of it like a trigger point, at this point, the crossover at that point is when this move is expected. So that is how we view that. The downside, again, we need to invalidate that low. If we invalidate the low, just as the short-term descending channel will be invalidated, the macro descending channel will be invalidated. Only upon the breakdown the low would be expecting macro bearish corrections. If we move back to this chart and go to the 2-week, we can see based on our macro directions for Bitcoin, we can see that while we sustain above the Ichimoku cloud baseline, which is this red line, we're in a macro uptrend. We drop below, we enter a macro downtrend. We drop below, we enter a macro downtrend. Okay, we are sitting above it as we speak. So we know that this baseline level We are in the bull market phase, okay, of the 4-year cycle currently. So we know that a bear market will eventually come to fruition. And we know that a breakdown of the baseline will likely be what triggers that bear market, as it has done so in past cycles for Bitcoin. And even if it doesn't trigger a bear market, generally every time we drop below this level, we do see steep macro corrections of at least 15 to 20% plus, okay? So that is a level of significance we are watching out for. Moving back, guys, we can take a look at the total. Like we said, if we do see that breakdown, we are looking for a retest of that low, similar to what we just said on Bitcoin. Provided this channel does sustain, the expectation is upwards. If we do drop below, we are officially entering a bear market for Bitcoin. This is essentially the last point of bullish support. This is essentially the point that the bulls have that they need to sustain and need to keep, otherwise the macro starts to look very grim. So what are we looking for in regards to this channel? We are looking for a very specific thing, and that is going to be, we are looking for indications that the bulls are back in control. And we need to see, and this is like the most important thing of the whole video, like, well, at least for me, because I'm a momentum trader, I am watching very closely the momentum of this consolidation. And this is a representation of this consolidation here, the downtrend in the RSI. I'm watching for that RSI to break upwards, but not only that, I'm watching for it to break up prior to breaking down this trend line. If we break below this level of support, that would indicate, again, this is our momentum at this point in time, that momentum in our 5-month consolidation has dropped below a point of which we saw back in September 2023, and therefore we could be classified as overextended, and we could see that correction for Bitcoin. So I would like to see the RSI break that downtrending resistance prior to breaking the horizontal support. That would indicate that during the last 5 months, momentum has been negative, but we have flipped back positive, and with positive momentum, we have positive strength, we have increased buying pressure. We likely see continuations upwards for Bitcoin. That is it, guys. Pay close attention to those short-term charts. If we zoom into those short-term charts just to finish up the video, we can see there is still a lot of chop going on, okay? There's a whole heap of chop going on. We do have that short-term downtrend right over here. We would need to see a breakout of that short-term downtrend if Bitcoin were to see a continuation and a swing back to those highs. If we fail to do that, or we do not do that, while we remain under that level, this sell side liquidity point, the 55,500 level we just discussed about 5 minutes ago, is a level for taking. We could see a drop back below and then continuation upwards. Provided we sustain above this downtrend on the 4-hour, we are looking good. If we drop below on the RSI, there's a very good chance price action continues. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys in the next one on Sunday. See you then.